We are here for a full summary of Death Masks by Jim Butcher. That's book number 5 of the Dresden Files. If you are here in preparation for 12 Months coming out January 2026, I am so glad you made it to this video. There are a lot of books to revisit before that 18th book comes out, so I am glad that you're here and I hope you find this video helpful. If you haven't done so already, I hope you consider subscribing to my channel. I have a ton of Dresden Files content on there for you if you're in need of summaries. I got them. If you would like to see my spoiler-free review and spoiler reviews of these books, I have them on my channel, so I would be so glad to have you. I would love to connect with you, and if you've read Dresden Files, please, I hope you leave me a comment because I love the series. It is my current obsession, and I would love to chat with you. So I think that's all I have to say. So without further ado, let's get started on everything that happened in Death Masks by Jim Butcher. Harry is on the Larry Fowler show with Mortimer Lindquist. Harry asks Morty what he found out, but the show is about to begin and Morty tells him to wait for a commercial break. Once the break occurs, Morty reveals that Susan is alive and in Peru. When the show resumes, Father Vincent and Dr. Paulo Ortega appear as guests who oppose the supernatural. Harry recognizes Ortega as a Duke of the Red Vampire Court, a very powerful, deadly vampire. Ortega tells Harry that he's there to kill him, but first, he has a proposition. Ortega wants Harry to face him in a battle under the dueling laws in the Accords. The vampires want Harry dead, as he initiated the war between the wizards and vampires. The war is undesirable for the vampires, and once Harry is dead, the vampires believe that the council and court will accept peace overtures. If Harry doesn't accept, the vampires are going to go after Harry's friends and clients that he's helped over the past several years. Harry's suppression spell falters and studio equipment bursts into flame. The fire department and Chicago PD show up on scene. Harry tells Ortega to get everything in writing and Ortega has himself a deal. Father Vincent is there to talk to Harry, not just there to appear on the show, actually. Father Vincent is curious about the occult community and was referred to by Father Forthill. As they are leaving, a gunman fires at Harry. Harry and Father Vincent retreat in the Beetle, and as they are exiting the parking garage, 3 men appear. Harry recognizes one of them as Hendrix, one of Gentleman Johnny Marcone's men. Harry and Father Vincent are able to escape unscathed, but the Beetle receives some wounds. Father Vincent leads Harry to a motel where Vincent tells Harry that he wants his help recovering a stolen relic, an antique artifact that was stolen 3 days ago. Father Vincent believes it was stolen from a church in Italy and brought to Chicago to be sold. Vincent shows Harry a photo of a man who was murdered. The man is Gaston LaRouche, leader of the Church Mice, a group of organized thieves who rob cathedrals and sanctuaries. Vincent also shows Harry a photo featuring Anna Valmont and Francesca Garcia, who are believed to have helped LaRouche with the robberies before murdering him and leaving the country. Harry accepts a $1,000 retainer from Vincent and discovers that the artifact is the Shroud of Turin, Christ's burial cloth, from the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist. When Harry goes home, he senses a cold presence and soon encounters 2 figures. One is able to fight off the other and the other flees. The remaining figure Harry discovers is Susan. Harry is stunned and asks who the attacker was. Susan doesn't know, except that it was someone from the Red Court. Susan and Harry want to talk, but Harry does not formally invite her inside. He lowers the wards protecting his apartment to get her through the door, but her power will be reduced since he didn't invite her inside. Harry and Susan kiss passionately before Harry hears Mr. Hiss. He pulls away and asks Susan what happened. Susan admits that he felt the effects of the vampire venom. They call it their kiss. Harry gets out a bottle of Mac's homebrewed ale. Susan tells Harry that she is quitting the arcane. Susan warns Harry about just how formidable Ortega is. She says that he does not share the same view as the rest of the Red Court. The Reds want Harry alive, in fact, in order to keep the war going, whereas Ortega wants Harry dead. There is a knock at Harry's door. Susan recognizes the voice belonging to a bland-looking Martin. Harry assumes Martin is Susan's new boyfriend. Murphy calls and asks Harry to meet her at a morgue. Waldo Butters is the assistant medical examiner. He is wearing bunny slippers and listening to polka music. Butters handled the burned bodies after the fire at Bianca's. He is aware of the supernatural. The body is completely torn up and missing the head and hands. Butters says that the cause of death was a bunch of diseases the victim contracted all at the same time. Even though he's not supposed to say anything, Harry tips Murphy off about the murder of LaRouche. As Harry leaves the hospital, he encounters what he originally believes to be a bear. He realizes it's a monster he's never seen before. Harry runs away, but the beast gives chase. He encounters 2 folks he noticed earlier and pushes them out of the way before facing the beast and using his magic to hurl fire at it. The beast staggers back and Harry locks it in a soul gaze. Harry is shocked to discover that the monster is actually mortal. He sees a young man crucified on the face of a cliff. The little old Asian man, who Harry originally identified as a homeless man, steps in to fight the bear monster. Harry is surprised to see that he has a sword, just like Amarachius, Michael's sword. Harry hears that the bear-looking monster's name is Ursiel. Harry soon learns that the older Asian man is Shiro, and the other Russian young man is Sanya, who also has a sword. Both men are Knights of the Cross. Michael swoops in and ultimately defeats the beast. A coin is found after the monster is slain, and the knights believe that there are 29 of them who are all after Harry. Harry discovers that Shiro was Michael's teacher. The three knights and Harry go to the church to see Father Forthill. Sanya tells Harry that he's atheist, which baffles Harry. Michael confirms that the bear monster is one of the fallen angels. His name was Rasmussen. Michael asks Harry for a favor: to get out of town, to stop pursuing the article and drop the case that Vincent hired him for. Michael says that Ursiel was not trying to kill Harry. His name was Rasmussen, and that Ursiel took him in 1849 on his way to California. Whoever touches the coins become tainted by the fallen within. Harry goes down to his lab where he has a conversation with Bob. Bob helps Harry identify the tattoo on the dead man as the Eye of Troth. When Harry sketches out the marking on Ursiel, Bob becomes alarmed and tells Harry to tear it up and burn it. Bob says he wants nothing to do with it. Bob says that the coins make the fallen immortal. Harry asks Bob to track down the shroud and look into Marcone's involvement in the whole ordeal. Bob suggests that Harry seek out Ol Sharavas, who Bob says is an ally of the Loa and is an oracle spirit. Bob leaves to investigate while Harry summons Ol Sharavas and offers whiskey and tobacco. Ol Sharavas goes into the Cabbage Patch doll that Harry places in his copper circle. In exchange for information, Ol Sharavas asks Harry why he does what he does. Why he's a wizard. Harry doesn't know why. He hasn't given it much thought. The Oracle Spirit says that the Shroud and thieves are renting a vessel docked in the harbor, a pleasure craft called the Estranger. The Spirit says that the Knights receive part of a prophecy stating that if Harry seeks out the Shroud, he will perish, but if he doesn't, the Knights will die and the city will die with them. Harry brews a potion to help him thwart the effects of vampire venom. Harry finishes brewing his potion and falls asleep. He wakes up to a phone call. It's Ebenezer telling Harry not to worry about the duel. The White Council will take care of it. Harry insists on the duel, and Ebenezer surreptitiously offers Harry sanctuary at his farm. Bob returns wounded and tells Harry that Marcone has wards up, which surprises Harry. Bob requires rest and winks out. Harry's ward flames warn him that something supernatural is close and quickly approaching his place. The archive shows up and is there to speak with Harry about the duel. The tall man enters first. His name is Kincaid, and he is just the driver. The archive is in fact a little 7-year-old girl who Harry insists on calling Ivy. The archive is the living memory of mankind. Ivy gets excited about Mister and kneels down to pet him before she and Kincaid leave. Harry calls Michael. Michael's daughter Molly answers. Charity hops on the line and expresses outright hostility toward Harry, as per usual. Harry tells Charity that he needs to talk to Michael before sundown or something bad will happen to him. Charity says that she will pass along the message, though Harry doesn't feel confident that she will. Harry goes to the harbor to check out the lead Olsharavas gave him. Harry sees a woman on the vessel. She takes a phone call and promptly tells the caller that they have the wrong number. Harry realizes later that this was a partner of the woman's, telling her to lead Harry in. So the woman on the boat undresses and hops in the shower, leaving Harry an opening to search the vessel. Harry finds a decoy of the artifact in the fridge, but ends up finding the real article in a basket of laundry. Before he can leave, he encounters a woman, the one who called the woman on the boat, pointing a gun at Harry. This woman's name is Anna. Harry has a conversation with Francesca and Anna. They were waiting for Gaston. Anna has a gun on Harry and tells him to cuff himself, but before he can comply, a demon sweeps in. The demon has 2 sets of eyes, one green and one red, like the demon Ursiel, and also has a sigil on her forehead. Anna shoots at the demon, but the demon attacks her. Francesca swipes at the demon with a knife, but the demon claws at her arm, drawing blood and causing her to drop the knife. Francesca gets stuck by the metallic hair of the monster, and it stabs right through her. Harry leads the monster to the decoy in the fridge. The monster snatches it and escapes with it. Francesca dies and the vessel is filling with water. Anna hits Harry on the back of the head but helps Harry ultimately up the stairs afterwards. She flees with the shroud and with Harry's duster. Harry grabs a memo pad and a cell phone before he leaves the vessel. Harry calls Father Vincent to provide an update, and Father Vincent is irritated that Harry didn't recover the shroud. Harry mocks Vincent's words and grabs charcoal to reveal what was written on the memo pad he swiped from the vessel. It says Marriott 2345. Harry is about to rest when Waldo Butters calls. He says that the victims were infected with numerous germs, which was the cause of death, all of which disappeared the next day, and Harry identifies them as magic germs. Susan arrives unexpectedly to formally break up with Harry, though she admits to not being romantically involved with Martin. Susan tells Harry that she accepted a new job. She says that red vampires are everywhere. She tells Harry she wants to help him with the message on the memo pad. She wants to help Harry even though he originally declines her offer. Susan leaves the next day, but Harry asks if she wants to get dinner to say goodbye. She agrees and leaves. Harry goes to Michael's house and is disturbed that no one is home. Michael has a big family, and usually Charity and the kids are home. Harry hears something or someone and scrambles into a treehouse that Michael built for his kids. Harry is prepared to defend himself using his blasting rod when he discovers that it's just Molly, Michael's oldest daughter, who says it's an errand day and that she expects her mom back soon. Harry is amused at her attire, heavy makeup, slashed skirt and shirt, and a bright red bra that stands out. Harry asks her about her nose ring and eyebrow ring. Molly asks Harry about him and Susan. Molly removes the facial rings, makeup, and changes into more conservative clothing. Charity arrives with the rest of the kids and with tons of groceries that she makes Harry help carry into the house. Shiro is with Charity. Charity says that she left Michael a voicemail regarding Harry's request to chat, but that he has not returned her call. Harry divulges what he needed Michael for, and Shiro asks Charity if Michael would have accepted. Charity says yes, so Shiro offers to be Harry's second in the duel. Harry feels guilty about dragging Shiro into this, but Shiro says that if Michael trusts Harry and would do this for him, then that's good enough for him. Harry helps Charity cut vegetables and throw them in the crock pot. Charity discusses how much she values Michael, her husband and father of her children, and wouldn't know what to do if something bad happened to him. She says that he always gets hurt in Harry's presence. Harry accidentally cuts himself and Charity bandages him up. Harry heads back to his apartment and sees that Murphy is already at his place. She tells him that PD pulled her from the case and made her go on vacation. She thinks that Rudolph overheard her conversation and reported it. Butters discovered that the victim from the boat, Francesca, died from the same curse as the others, the magic germs. Harry and Murphy both drink a bottle of Mac's warm ale. Murphy asks Harry to back off for his own sake, and Harry refuses. Murphy hands Harry a slip of paper that says Quebec National Inc., owner. No phone number, address a P.O. box, dead end. Murphy leaves and Harry fantasizes about Murphy kicking Rudolph's ass. Harry calls Susan, who discovered that the Marriott is hosting an art gala that night. She has already secured tickets for her and Harry as she agreed to do her final story for Arcane. Harry swings by his office to collect the thread that Father Vincent left him, a piece of the shroud. Harry goes to Michael's where he picks up Shiro. Shiro reveals that there is a vampire court that Harry has never heard of, the Jade Court. Harry and Shiro go to McAnally's, where Ortega is scheduled to meet Harry. Kincaid walks in, but Ivy is not in attendance. It's past her bedtime. Ortega arrives and Harry asks who his second is. Thomas Wraith walks in. Harry and Ortega talk at the bar over Mac's beer. They both admit to not wanting this duel. Ortega offers Harry an alternative. Yield, and Ortega will take him into custody. He will turn Harry, and he would essentially take Bianca's place. Ortega says that he can be with Susan. Harry asks if Ortega feed off of children. Ortega confirms that he and the other vampires do. Harry becomes enraged and declines the offer, leaving McAnally's and striding out into the cold February. Harry talks to Thomas, who says a hitman has been out for him, but Thomas introduced the hitman to his sisters. White Court vampires feed on psychic energies rather than blood. Thomas gives Harry a heads up that Ortega has been alive for almost 600 years and hints that Ortega may cheat. Shiro tells Harry that the duel is to be a battle of wills and will take place tomorrow after sundown at Wrigley Field. Shiro tells Harry that he's not at fault for the war. Harry was the excuse, not the reason. The Reds would have attacked anyway when they were ready. Shiro leaves in a cab to go back to Michael's. Susan shows up in a limo, dressed up and ready to attend the gala. Martin is the driver and hands Harry his tux. Harry gets dressed in the back of the limo and Susan asks where Harry's duster is. They arrive at the Marriott and mingle. Harry and Susan encounter Marcone. When Harry mentions the attack by one of Marcone's men, Marcone is surprised, and Harry is startled to discover that Marcone is likely unaware. Hendrix is there as well. Miss Guard is also there, another employee of Marcone's, and she is gorgeous. Harry suspects that Miss Guard is the one responsible for the wards that hurt Bob so bad. Harry and Susan dance together to evade security as Susan calls Martin to create a distraction. Martin creates a distraction and chaos quickly ensues. This allows Harry and Susan to slip into the stairwell completely unnoticed. Harry draws a circle to prepare the seeking spell, and he pulls out a wind-up plastic duck. The duck leads them to a big laundry room and into an air duct. Harry kicks off his shoes and tie and goes in with the duck. Harry hears Anna talking to Marcone through a radio. Anna increases the price on Marcone by $1 million and says she will call off the deal if the money isn't there in 10 minutes. Harry slips in and tries to get the shroud, but he overhears Anna tell Marcone that there is an explosive device on the item and that she will disengage it once she is safely away from the city. Harry points the duck at her back, like it's a gun, and asks for the detonator. When Anna says that it's in her pocket, Harry reaches toward it, but she strikes him with her elbow. 3 Denarians appear, only one of which appears to be human. One Denarian is the same Medusa-haired monster from the boat. The other is a half-man, half-serpent-looking creature. Anna shoots at the human-looking one and hits him 3 times. The man is only irritated by this and continues to talk. Anna shoots him twice more. This does not stop the human-looking Denarian. Harry pulls the detonator out of Anna's jacket pocket and threatens to blow up the shroud. The human-looking Denarian, wearing a noose that Harry initially mistakes as a tie, introduces himself as Nicodemus and pulls a gun on Anna. He tells Harry that he won't shoot Anna if he relinquishes the detonator. Harry uses magic to send fire toward the monsters, and he and Anna retreat through the ducts with the shroud. They make it back to the laundry room, where Susan pushes Harry out of the way before the crazy-haired monster emerges from the duct. Susan kicks the Denarian's ass, and Harry is wowed by her actions. Susan is suddenly attacked by a lot of snakes. The snake Denarians appear, and Harry conjures wind to throw the monsters back, but the spell still holds and the snakes continue attacking Susan. Harry focuses on producing a counterattack, and it works. The snakes implode, and Susan is left with what appear to be a bunch of bruises, but Harry quickly realizes that they are actually tattoos winding around Susan's body. The snake monster recovers and says something about a fellowship, and Susan rips a dryer off the wall and hurls it at the monster. The monster retreats through the vents. He does not return. Harry asks Susan about the fellowship, but Susan does not divulge. They run out to where Martin is waiting with the limo. Susan and Anna make it into the car, but Harry is trapped by shadows. He yells at Martin to go, and he does. Harry realizes that Nicodemus is the one wrapping and binding him with shadows. Nicodemus takes the shroud and says that he wants to have a polite conversation with Harry before clubbing him in the head with a revolver, throwing him into unconsciousness. Harry wakes up in the dark, feet and wrists bound, with water running over him. He can't use magic because running water grounds magical energies. Harry realizes he's in Undertown. 2 men arrive with Nicodemus. Nicodemus mentions Harry's mother, Maggie, or Margaret, and refers to Harry as her youngest. This surprised Harry, as he is his mother's only child, as far as he knows. Harry recognizes Nicodemus as the one who edited the prophecy Olsharavas told Harry about. A young woman enters, and Nicodemus introduces her as Deirdre, his daughter, who is the hair monster. Nicodemus offers Harry a chance to have breakfast with him and Deirdre to talk and hear their side of things. He offers Harry a coin. Nicodemus claims to know Harry better than Harry knows Harry. He says that Harry appears mortal, but he's not. Harry does not accept the coin offered to him, which means he chose death. He either had to accept the coin or die. As Nicodemus is about to kill Harry, Shiro comes in and defeats the goons with his sword, Fidelicius, and pins down Nicodemus's daughter at sword point while Nicodemus has a knife to Harry's throat. Shiro strikes a deal with Nicodemus to trade himself for Harry for 24 hours. Nicodemus agrees and cuts Harry free. Shiro gives Harry his sword, though Harry is reluctant to take it. Nicodemus's shadow grows and approaches Shiro. Harry makes a run for it, but Nicodemus sends his daughter after Harry. Harry feels shame and hates himself for leaving Shiro there. A man attacks Harry as he's trying to escape up a ladder. Harry fights him off and defeats him. Susan appears and they head up the ladder together. The hair demon is chasing, but Susan throws a grenade down the ladder to take care of Deirdre. They finally make it out of the building and Martin appears in a rental, but he is being chased. He drives at insane speeds to try to lose them, but Harry and Susan have to jump out of the moving car. Harry and Susan make their way to Harry's apartment, but the snake boy casts a bad luck curse on them. A brick falls toward them from a crumbling chimney, a power line goes down, and a tree almost falls on them. Harry and Susan eventually make it back to his apartment, where Harry puts up a protective spell that defeats the snake boy's curse. But now he and Susan are physically stuck in his home and cannot leave for the next several hours. Harry is hurt and bleeding, and Susan is thirsty. She tells Harry that he has to find a way to restrain her. Harry tries to distract her by asking about the fellowship again. Susan tells Harry about the fellowship of St. Giles, the patron of lepers. The fellowship tries to help people that the Red Court hurt. They try to expose the Red Court. Susan explains that the tattoos are a binding and that they are part of a spell that help hold the darkness in and to warn her when she is about to lose control. Harry uses enchanted rope that he prepared months ago to retain Susan, and they have some spicy sex while she is tied up. Later, Susan and Harry talk, and Susan says that last night shouldn't have happened. Harry acknowledges that last night changed nothing. Susan tells Harry that she dropped Anna off at Michael's as she was in shock, and that Michael and Sanya still haven't returned from their mission. Harry and Susan take a cab to McAnally's to get the beetle. Then they go to Michael's, where Father Forthill tells them that Michael and Sanya were arrested by PD when they were in St. Louis to investigate Denarian activity. Harry tells Forthill what happened, and Father Forthill identifies Nicodemus as evil and an ancient foe of the Knights of the Cross. He destroys their archives every other century, so their information on them is limited, but he's killed all the knights except for 2, Shiro being one of them. 2 fallen angels, Anduriel and Nicodemus, led the 30 fallen who inhibit the coins. Forthill asks Harry if he was given a coin. When Harry describes the sigil, Forthill recognizes it as Laciel, the web weaver, and Temptress, the seducer. Harry notices a tattoo on Forthill's arm. He recognizes it as the Eye of Thorth. Harry goes to speak with Anna and demands answers. She says that she will cooperate after a shower, but ends up fooling Harry and stealing his beetle to get away. Forthill tells Harry that he and a group of boys who belonged in the same organization got the tattoos together when they were young, after they took care of some vampires in town. Vincent likely has one as well. Harry understands and storms out of the house just as Michael and Sanya pull in. Harry tells them to pack whatever they need for a fight and that they are leaving immediately. Harry, Michael, and Sanya confront Father Vincent at his hotel. Harry threatens Vincent with a gun, and Vincent morphs into the snake creature. The creature makes a run for it, but Sanya smashes it in the head with a 2x6. They drag him back into the room, and Harry knows that the creature was impersonating Father Vincent. Back in the room, Michael draws Amarachius, and Sanya draws Esperachius. Harry realizes that Marcone was actually shooting at Vincent, not Harry, which is why Marcone appeared surprised when Harry accused him of sending his men after him. They were never after Harry. They knew who Vincent was and tried to take him out. Posing as Vincent was a test for a ritual. Once they discovered that it worked, Vincent went after the shroud himself. The creature reveals that the shroud is going to be used for a curse to release the plague contaminant. The snake creature reveals who he really is, Quintus Cassius, and morphs into his human version. He gives up the coin and asks for mercy. The knights have to grant him mercy. Sanya admits to being like Cassius, but chose the right path. Michael and Sanya leave him in the room, but Harry returns to beat him after Cassius talks about how Shiro was tortured and how Susan bled their last encounter. Harry breaks his legs and leaves him a quarter to call an ambulance from a nearby payphone, which costs more than a quarter, by the way. Michael criticizes Harry for not doing the right thing, but they all share a laugh as they drive away over the quarter thing. Harry calls Murphy and tells her about the plan to contaminate the city. Murphy tells Harry that the PD is headed to Harry's apartment to arrest him, likely the doing of Rudolph. Harry jumps in Martin's rental, but he's not there. Susan is driving. Susan is driving Harry to his duel with Ortega at the stadium. Susan is now Harry's second, now that Shiro isn't there. Ortega arrives at the stadium. Thomas arrives separately in a sports car, blaring music, and he is wasted. The archive appears. Ivy produces Mordite, Deathstone, and demonstrates its killing power by placing a scorpion in a box and unleashing the power of the Deathstone. The Deathstone is not from our reality. The archive states the rules of the duel. This is a battle of will. The Mordite will be placed between Harry and Ortega, and each opponent must will it toward the other. Whoever has the greatest force has control over the Deathstone, and the loser will be devoured by the Deathstone. The archive begins the duel, and Harry and Ortega engage in a battle of will. The sphere moves close to Harry at the start of the duel, but when Ortega taunts him, Harry gets mad and shoves the sphere back at Ortega. Harry is shocked that Ortega is about to cheat, as he has a concealed gun trained on him under his coat. As his focus wavers, the sphere comes back toward Harry. There is a red laser dot trained on Ortega. Ortega gets shot twice. Red vampires climb out of the stadium to attack Harry. Susan tries to jump in and help, but gets flung roughly into the stands. Kincaid takes the archive and flees, killing a vampire in the process. Thomas jumps in to help Harry against the red vampires and tells him to get out. Harry tells Thomas to get Susan. Kincaid uses a shotgun with incendiary rounds to shoot and kill a couple of vampires before Ivy appears and uses the stone to incinerate the rest. Martin appears with a gun, and Harry realizes that he was the gunman. Martin says that he was there to make sure Harry didn't get killed and that the war continued. They didn't want Ortega to end the war, only to start it again 20 years later when he was stronger. Martin wants the war to continue and hopes that the White Council will deal with the Reds for him. Unfortunately, Martin didn't kill Ortega. Ortega escaped. Harry discovers that Thomas was the one who told Martin about the duel. Susan is unconscious, but alive. Harry gives the rental keys to Martin and asks him to take care of Susan for him. Martin agrees. Harry heads to the airport. Michael and Sanya meet him there. Sanya is wearing a black cowboy hat, which Harry steals to conceal himself from Rudolph, who is there on the tip that the shroud is about to be loaded into a plane and leaving Chicago. Harry communicates how contagious the plague curse is and how quickly it will cause destruction if people become infected before flying out to other locations. Harry wants to call in a bomb threat to shut down the planes. He calls Murphy to report it. Harry asks if Murphy got in touch with him, the him being Marcone. The alarm sounds and the three make their way to the airport. They head to the chapel where they believe is the most likely spot for Nicodemus to be. They encounter a man with a submachine gun, one of Nicodemus's tongueless men, who shoots. Sanya protects Harry and gets shot in the back, but he's wearing a protective vest. Michael uses Amarachius to stab and kill the gunman. The three defeat two more of Nicodemus's men and make it to the small chapel room where the walls are covered in sigils that were drawn with blood. Shiro appears to be dead, torn up the same as the real Father Vincent and Gaston LaRouche. Harry feels defeated and wants to give up. Harry places a sword to rest next to Shiro, and Shiro coughs. Harry discovers that the noose is what's keeping Nicodemus alive. As long as he wears it, he cannot die. Nicodemus placed a Barabbas curse on Harry, which mandates a death. The curse cannot be stopped, but someone can take the target's place if they choose to. Shiro gives Harry his sword. Shiro says that Nicodemus is afraid of Harry and is on a train headed for St. Louis. He told his daughter when they thought Shiro was dead. Shiro tells Harry that he must stop them. As long as Nicodemus has the shroud, the plague will unfold, but if Harry takes it, it will stop. Shiro takes Harry's place and dies. Harry starts feeling the beginning symptoms of the plague. The three go to the landing field, and Harry uses his amulet to emit a blue light to signal the driver. Marcone arrives with a helicopter. Guard is piloting the helicopter, and Hendrix is there as well. They pursue the train, and Michael, Sanya, Harry, and Marcone rappel down from the helicopter to the top of the train. Harry is feeling nauseous and feverish from the plague. Michael and Sanya drop down into one of the cars, and Marcone and Harry stay atop the train. A monster comes running after Harry, and Harry uses fire to cast it off the side of the train. It gives chase again until Marcone shoots it several times and eventually kills it with a bullet between the eyes. Michael and Sanya jump to the next car where they battle Nicodemus with their swords. Harry arrives, and Nicodemus sends a shadow to attack Harry, and the shadows break his blasting rod. Deirdre is in the car beneath, stabbing upward with her bladed hair. She wounds Sanya's leg. Marcone blasts Nicodemus and shoots him 3 times, flinging him off the car. But shortly after, Nicodemus comes flying back and lands on top of the car in front of them. He uses his shadows to disengage the cars, and Sanya has to stay behind while Marcone, Michael, and Harry leap across. Harry uses his staff to propel him and make sure he makes it, and he overshoots, landing closer to Nicodemus than his 2 comrades. Nicodemus admits to why he wants to release the plague, to create more pain and suffering, which grants more power to the underworld. Michael fights Nicodemus one-on-one, but Deirdre runs to join the fight with sword in hand. Her hair relieves Michael of his sword, but Harry throws Michael Fidelacchius, Shiro's sword. Michael fights well against Nicodemus. Harry and Marcone assist by shooting Nicodemus in the back. This distracted him, and Michael takes advantage. He's about to win when Nicodemus pulls a gun and shoots Michael in the chest several times. The light in both swords wink out, and Nicodemus kicks them off the edge of the train. Harry and Marcone work together to remove the shroud from Nicodemus, and as soon as they do, the plague curse breaks. Marcone escapes with the shroud by jumping off the train and into the water under the bridge. Nicodemus gets Harry in a chokehold, but Harry uses the noose to pull Nicodemus off him. He notices Nicodemus panic. Harry throws him off the car, but Deirdre catches him. Nicodemus tells her to kill him, but Harry grabs Michael and dives off the train and into the water. Michael is still unconscious and sinks, and Harry won't let go, but Harry also can't haul him up. Luckily, Marcone throws Harry a rope to help haul him and Michael up. Harry realizes that it's not a rope, it was the shroud. Marcone called Murphy and told her where to find Harry. Harry wakes up in the back of Michael's truck. Michael and Sanya are there. Murphy is there too, and Harry commented that the shroud should have ripped when he used it to pull himself out of the water. He goes unconscious but wakes up in the morgue with Butters working on him. Harry complains that he's not dead. Murphy confirms this and tells Harry that Butters needs to remove a bullet from his shoulder. Harry goes unconscious again and wakes up in Michael's guest bedroom. Michael tells Harry that Charity made all his armor, and that's what protected him from the bullets. Murphy tells Harry that Rudolph is no longer in special investigations. He's going to internal affairs. Michael ended up recovering both swords and gives Fidelacchius to Harry. Harry receives a letter addressed to him with Michael's address on it. It's from Shiro, dated 2 weeks ago. It's a heartwarming note where Shiro says that Harry is a decent man. It also reveals that Shiro had terminal cancer and he was dying anyway, which is why he agreed to take Harry's place. Michael takes Harry to the dry cleaners to pick up his leather duster. Anna had it dropped off and left the keys to the Beetle pistol in the pocket. "Thank you," is written on the back of the bill. Harry gets a postcard from Susan with her number on it. He calls her and tells her what happened. As he's talking to Susan, he opens a letter that says he's being sued by Larry Fowler for trashing his car and studio. Susan tells Harry that Ortega is recovering in Casa Verde. He's coming to kill Harry personally. Ebenezer calls Harry and tells him to watch the news. A deactivated Soviet communication satellite decayed in orbit and fell, obliterating just outside the village of Casa Verde. Asteroid Harry. Ebenezer arranged this and dealt with Ortega. Harry follows Marcone to a hospital where he visits a young girl, likely in her teens. She is in a coma. Harry watches Marcone read to her and then places the shroud over her. He hopes it will heal her. Harry believes this young woman to be his daughter, the secret that he became privy to during a soul gaze. But back then, he didn't know what the secret was that drove Marcone to be so ruthless. Harry can't hate Marcone anymore, especially since he can relate and believes he would do the same under similar circumstances. Harry gives him 3 days before he insists that Marcone return the article. Marcone does return the shroud after 3 days. Harry goes to a farewell cookout at Michael's house for Sanya, who will be returning to Europe. Harry is outside with little Harry when Nicodemus drives by. Nicodemus rolls his window down and tosses a coin toward Harry. Harry sees Lacielle's blackened sigil on it. Harry hears it whispering to him, tempting him, and he tries to drown it out with his off-key singing. Harry digs a hole in his basement lab, throws the coin in, and pours concrete over it. Harry accepts that he and Susan aren't meant to be. He takes down her picture and puts the postcards and engagement ring away in his closet. And that is everything that happened in Death Masks by Jim Butcher of Dresden Files, book number 5. It was so good, and I hope the summary was helpful. I hope that it all made sense. Gosh, it is very difficult to consolidate a 435-page book into a 30-some minute video. So I hope I did the story justice. If you are watching this, my guess is that you have read this book. You're just a little hazy on the details. So once again, I hope this video was helpful. If you have yet to do so, I hope you consider subscribing to my channel. I would love to have you along for this Dresden Files journey that I am on if you are a lover of Jim Butcher and his writing, or just simply the Dresden Files. Anyway, I think that's all I have to say for now. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your support. I hope you're reading something great, and I hope to catch you in another video. Until next time, I will catch you on the flip side.